Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Viewer Questions. Thank you for joining me. As you probably know, shit's getting crazy here in Washington, D.C. with the Venezuelan embassy. I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, let's start off with a little good news. Chelsea Manning was released. So that's good for anyone who supports whistleblowers, supports not torturing human beings, supports the American public knowing what's actually going on in our wars overseas. So if you support any of those things, you should want, and even the rule of law, because there's no reason Chelsea Manning should have been locked up to begin with. So if you support any of those things, you should be celebrating that Chelsea Manning has been released. However, they released her because the grand jury that they locked her up for, because she refused to speak to the grand jury, expired. So now they're saying they may have another one in like 6 days or a week. So they may lock her up again in a week. But for the moment, for this minute, Chelsea Manning is released. If you think the United States doesn't have political prisoners, ha ha! Oh, do we? We fucking love a good political prisoner. So, speaking of, Chelsea Manning, and then, of course, another political prisoner, Julian Assange, is still locked up. I've talked a lot about that, and he's in what they consider to be Britain's Gitmo, basically the worst prison in the United Kingdom, and he's got 50 weeks in there, and the U.S. is going to try and extradite him, but there is a correlation between what's going on with Julian Assange and what's going on with the Ecuadorian embassy right here in Washington, D.C. They both have to do with the United States and with our allies as well, in this case the UK, just throwing like law and international law up into the air, setting fire to it, being like, fuck this, just the justice system is a goddamn sham. And they both actually have a lot to do with that, because there's no reason, there's no legality for Julian Assange to be locked up right now, right? The charges from Sweden were dropped years ago. He's a publisher, he's a journalist, but they've thrown the rule of law out the window, and so they continue to keep him locked up. And with the Ecuadorian embassy, Jesus, I'm doing it again. I think last week I fucked up and called it the Ecuadorian embassy. I'm now doing it again, because Julian Assange is in the Ecuadorian embassy. Now, of course, what's going on in D.C. is the Venezuelan embassy, and so I keep interchanging them. But here in D.C. with the Venezuelan embassy, we're again throwing international respected law, like the settled international law, the Vienna Conventions, out the window. We're just setting fire to it. Because the idea that the embassy that's legal territory of the sovereign country that it belongs to. And that's why they weren't able to get Julian Assange out for all those years, because Ecuador owns the embassy in London. But here in the U.S., apparently you could just announce another guy as leader, then they have shut off the electricity. I made that update on the last VIP episode. They've shut off the electricity in the Venezuelan embassy here in D.C. They are basically stopping food from going in because they've allowed an angry, racist, misogynistic, violent mob to encircle the embassy. The pro-war mob. They want U.S. war. They want U.S.-backed coup. They want the deaths of Venezuelans because of our economic war on Venezuela. So those people surround the embassy here in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., and they won't let food in. They're doing their best to not let food in. Occasionally some food still gets in. But the Secret Service is on their side. The Secret Service supports everything that the violent mob there does. So our State Department, John Bolton and the Trump administration, have basically facilitated this, and they've now cut the electricity. So now you have 15, I believe it's roughly 15 activists, peace activists, in the Venezuelan embassy, holding that space at the invitation of the Venezuelan government, and they have no electricity, they have very little food, they have very little medicine, and they're doing it, and this is a historic moment. I know maybe some of you are tired of me talking about the coup and the U.S.-backed coup attempt in Venezuela that has failed spectacularly. Oh, such a. You ever see the videos where the guy's like gonna dunk the basketball and he ends up, punching himself in the balls, like on a YouTube fail video? That's what this coup attempt has been so far. It's been a guy just going, watch this, just doubling over. That's basically what we've seen in Venezuela, is Guaido punching himself in the balls. The State Department is facilitating this, and we've just thrown international law out. I mean, this is dangerous to every diplomat, every U.S. diplomat in anywhere around the world. Any country could just announce someone else as president of the United States. Hey, motherfuckers, what if in, Germany they were like, Kanye West is the president of the United States. We're calling him president. And then they proceed, and all the U.S. diplomats in the embassy are like, you can't do that. Donald Trump is president. I know that's horrifying too, but that's the truth. Donald Trump is president, and they're like, you can't do that. And so Germany then proceeds to shut off the electricity, stop food and medicine from getting in, and surrounding the embassy with fucking a violent mob. Like, every U.S. diplomat should hate what's going on here in Washington, D.C. with the Venezuelan embassy. So, to get to the point, the reason I'm talking about this so much is because this is a historic moment. This is the first time that Americans have stood in the way of a U.S.-backed coup attempt by blocking the takeover of an embassy of a country. By protecting the peace, protecting against the U.S.-backed war. This is, it's a really historic moment. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it could go, who knows how long it could go on. Maybe they'll send the fucking Secret Service in tomorrow and you'll go, well, we did what we could. But if this keeps going on, it really is historic. And for those of you who can make it down to Washington, D.C., I suggest you come down, support the people in the embassy. As Kevin Zee said on an interview, he's in the embassy, by the way. He and Margaret Flowers, the creators of popularresistance.org. You can follow all of this there, by the way, popularresistance.org. Kevin Zee said, we're going to stay strong here. We're in the embassy. We're not leaving without being dragged out. We'll stay strong, but honestly, people power is going to decide this. It's going to be decided by how many people show up outside that embassy to support anti-war, to support not letting the U.S. just destroy countries economically and otherwise. And so supporting those people in that embassy. It doesn't fucking matter if you're a fan of Maduro, a fan of Guaido, a fan of communism or socialism or capitalism or isms or just isms in general. I love isms. I'm an ismism. No, it doesn't, ismist, I guess. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is whether you support war and economic destruction of other countries created by the United States. That is it. That is all that matters. If you are against that, if you are against war, if you're against economic war, then you should be supporting those in the embassy right now. And if you can get down to D.C. and you can make it a two-for trip, right? You come, you support the embassy protective, and then you come to Redacted Tonight, which tapes on Thursdays here in D.C. That's a fucking two birds, one stone right there. Two birds, one stone. That's two bird, one stone scenario. That's right. I always thought if you're one of those two birds, the stone's coming at you, don't you pull the other bird in front, let him take it, Fuck that guy. Listen, it's every bird for himself. That's what I've always said. Every bird for himself. Anyway, if you can make it down here, I think now's a good time. There's other ways to support the Embassy Protection Collective. You can go to Popular Resistance. You can go to Code Pink, Code Pink's website, and you can also call your Congress people. Tell them to give a fuck about this. Tell them to speak out against this. You can call Secret Service as a publicly available number. You can call them and say, hey, let food and medicine. Actually, I get to this. Let me get to this now. One of the comments, because she goes through all this. This is one of the comments from you. By the way, anyone who leaves a comment, you'll instantly be entered to win a free download of my comedy special. So that's why people leave comments. Otherwise, no one would give a fuck. None of you would give a fuck. You wouldn't leave a comment. But because of the comedy special, you do. I'm kidding. You guys are awesome. I'm sure you would leave all the comments in the world. And by the way, well, this week, so for next week, I'll be giving out a free signed copy of my book called Moment of Clarity. And I'll tell you how to get that in a second. But Ellen Bleer said, the point I was getting to, Ellen Bleer said, the Secret Service reads a BS statement. So she's talking about when you call the Secret Service and you say, hey, let food into the embassy. Let medicine into the embassy. Stop the violent mob that's outside that literally uses assault and sexual assault as a tactic. I know 3 women already that they walked over to the pro-Guaido, pro-coup attempt side of the street and they were sexually assaulted. And I know others who were assaulted, physically assaulted, like, just punched or knocked down or whatever. So this is a tactic they're using. So, they sound lovely. Isn't that what you want in Venezuela? I'm sure the Venezuelans want lots of that. Anyway, so when Ellen Bleer says when you call the Secret Service, they read a BS statement to you when you call to complain about a situation. The statement says they're working with the D.C. police, which she says is a lie. They're allowing food, water, and medicine into the protectors, which I can tell you is a lie. They did let some medicine in at one point, but I believe they've stopped that. The food they never let in. They claim they're not stopping it, but what they're doing is letting the violent mob stop the food. She then says, it's obvious they have orders from the maniacs, Bolton and Abrams, to hire up to stand down. Mind-boggling, but a sad fascist truth in our country today. These protectors are fighting a machine that cares not for human life. You're absolutely right, Ellen. You've nailed it. And also, I like that you said cares not for human life, because that was some royal shit right there. They care not for human life. Well done, Ellen. Well done. All right, let's stop it. And you guys. Also, if you want to know more about the stuff I've been talking about, for this week's VIP episode, I interviewed Ariel Gold, who's a Code Pink activist, peace activist, and she herself has been assaulted down there at the embassy and also was arrested for throwing bread, for trying to get bread up to the embassy. That's right. She was arrested. They charged her with throwing a missile. The baguette was a fucking missile. You fucking fascists. So, yeah, watch that interview if you want to learn more about what's going on down there. But, by the way, when I'm telling you to come down there, if you are near D.C. or you can support somehow, and you're wondering whether to go down there, and you're like, it sounds pretty fucking dangerous, there are ways to do it that are, as far as I've seen, are not dangerous. The Secret Service has separated the two groups on the two sides of the street. So basically, violent mob pro-war people are allowed to be on the embassy side of the street surrounding the embassy. Peace activists, those of us who support Code Pink, support popular resistance, support those in the embassy, and want peace and just want Venezuela to be able to decide their own destiny, that group is on the other side of the street, the far side of the street from the embassy. So the way to do it to stay safe is just stay with the peace activists, stay on the far side of the street, and you'll be fine. It's the only time people generally have gotten hurt or assaulted is when someone tries to walk towards the embassy where the violent pro-coup people have blocked it off. Anyway, I'm just saying, it's possible to go down there and not be attacked. I don't want you to think it's just fucking guys with nails sticking out of baseball bats running at you the moment you get there. So that's why you should show up and you should support the people in the embassy. All right, let's move it along here. A comment from Fuck Google, best name ever, well done, 2 points. Fuck Google says, notice how our foreign policies are coming home to roost. This will always happen. We must demand peace for all if we want peace here. Hands off Venezuela. Absolutely, I agree with that. Also, fuck Google. And then he or she or they says, no way this channel only has 199,000 subscriptions. Laughing my ass off. First of all, we got over 200,000. So thank you. Thank you all for subscribing and being a fan of Redacted Tonight, because we got over 200,000 subscribers. But you're also right, fuck Google, that we are suppressed. We're suppressed constantly. They desubscribe people every time I tweet out. So I'll often post on Twitter, hey, if you think you're subscribed to Redacted Tonight, go to the channel and see if you're actually subscribed. And sure enough, I'll get a string of people going, oh, you're right, I was unsubscribed. So, you got to keep checking back. Make sure you're subscribed. And when you click subscribe, you also have to click the little bell icon. So those of you watching right now, you should do this. Even if you're already subscribed, when you click the subscribe button, you have to click the little bell icon next to it. It looks like a little bell. And then that will alert you to the videos, which used to be what subscribe did. That used to be the point of the subscribing. You click the subscribe, you're alerted to the videos. But now they've added a new step. You have to also click the bell icon. Go fuck yourselves, YouTube. Anyway, you are right, but also thank you all for getting us over 200,000. Big moment. Let's see, last comment from Nike Trigger. It's saddening to see the Feds supporting the fascists, but no surprise. Aren't they two sides of one very grubby coin? Yeah, I think you're right. I think, unfortunately, it's no surprise to see the Secret Service and the police, the federal agents supporting the violent, racist, pro-coup group. It really is a sad statement. It's a sad statement on who our ruling elite are and who the quote-unquote authorities are going to side with, who the police are going to side with. But this is nothing new. Nothing new. Remember that police forces started as slave patrols. So if that tells you anything about where this came from, about where we got started. To get signed up for a possible, to enter for a chance to win. To enter for a chance to win my book. My book's called Moment of Clarity. It's from 2012. Lucky for me and lucky for book sales, nothing's changed. You just have to cross out the word occupy and put, protesters or embassy collective protectors. And you have to cross, there's 3 places you have to cross out Obama and write Trump. That's it. Rest of the book totally still applies. But the book's called Moment of Clarity, and it is available online, but I will send a free signed copy to someone. In order to enter to win that, you have to email leecampledger@protonmail.com and say you want to enter to win the book. We do that to separate it from those entering to win the stand-up comedy special. To get a chance to win the stand-up comedy special, all you have to do is leave a comment under this video. I think that's it. I know I've told you to subscribe to this YouTube. You should also subscribe to youtube.com/leecamp and the number 2. The reason for that is because this channel may get, Redacted Night channel may get banned or taken off the air, whatever the fuck. And I want to have a way to still talk to you guys and communicate. So please do that. You can also, if you're not signed up to my email list, sign up by texting the word redacted to 444-999. Just write the word redacted. Okay, and last thing is those websites or those groups are popularresistance.org and Code Pink. It's either codepink.com or .org. They're also on Twitter. Follow them to find out about the Embassy Protection Collective, what they're doing there. And if I said Ecuador instead of Venezuelan in this video, then just punch me in the face. And keep fighting.